As my junior research project on the stereotypical housewife of the 1950s came to an end, I realized I had only focused on my topic in relation to my grandmother, my mom, and myself, but not necessarily towards my peers, the students of New Trier High School. It's clear to me that the 1950s stereotypical housewife has a deep meaning towards myself and my family, but I felt that it would be important and best to end my project by investigating if the 1950s stereotypical housewife has any meaning towards my peers. The investigation took place by asking a set of composed questions towards the students of New Trier. It was interesting to see how the research that I found previously matched up with the actual situations on the North Shore.
My mom's a special ed teacher for elementary kids, and my dad's a lawyer.
And are your parents married and divorced, or?
Oh, they're married.
Happily married.
Mm-hmm.
They both have jobs.
And what do they do?
My mom works at NYC. She's like a medical professor. My dad is in sales with his friend. They run a company.
And they both work full time?
Yes.
My parents are married. My dad has a job full time. He's a lawyer. And my mom recently had a job before she had kids, and then now that we're almost all through high school, she started researching college counseling and has started working in that field.
Okay, so when she had kids, she took time off of work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my dad has a full-time job working in investment management, and my mom doesn't work anymore, but when my parents met, she was a flight attendant, and then she quit her job when she started having kids.
My parents are married. My mom is a stay-at-home mom, and my dad is an investment banker.
And my dad works full-time in Chicago, and my mom does not have a job, but she had a job but quit when I turned 2.
They're both married. Both of my parents work.
What do they do for a living?
My mother is a financial manager, and my dad is a trader.
My parents are married, and my dad works, but my mom doesn't.
We're still married. My mom's a full-time doctor, and my dad's a full-time lawyer.
My parents are married, my dad works, and my mom stays at home.
Did your mom ever have a career prior, or?
Yes, she did.
And do you know when she stopped working, or?
I think when my sister was born.
Okay.
My parents are married, and my dad works, and my mom is a stay-at-home mom.
Did she ever have a job previous, or?
No.
They're married, and they both work.
What are?
My dad works full time, and mom works full time.
The responses towards asking to describe their parent situation resulted in different answers, but there were similarities with the different answers they gave. It was exciting to hear that a lot of parents both worked full time, yet I still had some hesitation on how I felt towards it, since many of the jobs the wives had were kind of stereotypical towards women's work. Then there was another situation where both parents worked, but the wife only worked part-time. It's good to know that wives have careers aside from their housework, but also I question why they have to work part-time. Then there was a situation where the husband only worked and the wives never had to have a career prior to their marriage. This kind of relates to that maybe the stereotype of a housewife still is present in our community. Lastly, the situation where the wives quit their jobs once they started having kids was the most directly related to the research I found. Generally speaking, the parents of the New Trier Township have different situations, but overall, it seemed that everyone's parents were married. This information tells me that the prior research I found that many women felt they couldn't be married and have a career isn't necessarily something dominant in the North Shore. Next question further investigates their own personal thoughts on family situations versus the facts.
Like, depends on if you have kids or if you like are making a lot of money. So if you're making a lot of money, I guess one of them doesn't have to work to watch the kids. But if you don't have kids, then you can do whatever you want, I guess.
I don't think it matters who is the provider and who stays at home. I think it shouldn't be defined based on gender. It should just be on what works best for each family.
Or what do you think?
No, they can do whatever. Yeah, it's good that they both work, but it doesn't matter if the mom doesn't need to work, then that's cool. If the dad doesn't need to work, then that's fine as well. There's no, they can just do whatever.
Do you feel that it's important for both parents to work in a family?
Yes.
Why is that?
So it could be equal.
What's your perspective on both parents working in a family? Do you think it's necessary or?
I think it depends on what you want to do. I don't think it's necessary, but I don't know.
I don't think it matters who the breadwinner is, but there definitely needs to be one or more person bringing in income.
I think that there are certain roles that like a husband and a wife have within the family, but I don't think they're limited to or specifically like based on gender.
I don't know if there's a formula, I guess. I think obviously I think that parents should do what makes them happy, and so essentially that it makes sense for both parents to work, but also I think that it's important that kids have enough attention. So I think that if one parent is okay not working, then that's great, but I totally understand why parents feel the need to continue working even if they do have kids, to kind of focus on themselves. That makes sense.
I don't necessarily think that they should have specific roles, but I don't know. I think it's good that my dad works and my mom stays at home and takes care of us. So.
If you have a passion for working or your job or your career, you should be able to work. But someone needs to really take care of your family or just make money. So.
Marriage, the husband and wife should be able to do whatever they want to do. And I know in my parents, my dad cooks just as much as my mom.
Do you feel that it's important for both parents to work in the family?
Yes. Yes.
Why is this?
Get money.
Sorry?
Get money.
More income?
Yeah, more income for sure. Provide for the family.
In the different responses I received in the interviews, it seems that everyone can agree on that there are two different specific roles in a family. That it wouldn't be realistic if you would say that the father does equal amount of work outside of the home in relation to inside of the home as the mother does. There's not going to be an equal split. In conclusion, the students of New Trier believe that one parent should take the role of the breadwinner and one parent should take the role of looking over the kids in the house. Even though it's a little upsetting to know that the students of New Trier all agree that there should be two different roles for each parent to take on in a family, it's nice to know that it is no longer believed that each gender should have a specific role. Many students believe that a wife could take on a job and that a father could stay at home, and vice versa. My final question asks the students of New Trier about what they plan to do for the future. I was interested to see how this related to how the people of the 1950s viewed their futures as.
I plan to have a career and be married. I'm going to be a hardworking dad, support my family, raise my kids well.
Do you think it's important for your wife to work?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Work. Then have kids and be a stay-at-home mom.
Married in the future sometime after college and I get a job.
Do you think you'll make your wife work, or depends again?
I don't know.
Elaborate on that idea.
I mean, if we have kids and I'm making a lot of money, then she doesn't need to work. She can watch them.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't, depends on if I need to keep my job, depending how old I am. I don't know if what my husband's job will be, but I'll probably continue to work when.
Do you think you'll make your wife work, or?
Probably not. If I'm making cash, just let her do stuff at home.
But if she wants to have a career, will you let her?
Absolutely. She can do whatever she wants.
Okay, thanks.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to be a teacher for kindergartners and be married.
And furthermore, do you think you'll be able to keep a career and a marriage and a family?
Yes, for sure.
I think I'll probably go to college. Find out what Find out what I want to do that for a little while. I don't know. Get married, then have a family.
Do you think you'll keep your career while you're married, or?
Yeah, I hope so. That's the plan.
It just depends on when I want to have kids, what I'm doing as my job, and if I like my job a lot, then I would want to stay working for my job. But if I don't like my job that much, then I would rather stay home with my kids and raise my kids how I think they should be raised.
Depending on the job that my husband has, I don't know if I want to keep mine.
So I'll get a job, hopefully, and chances are I'll get married too and have kids. Yeah, but ideally, that what would happen is that I'd get a job that I was excited about and required, some cerebral power involved in that, and so maybe a lawyer type thing, but then a job that I could still maintain a good family balance and focus on kids, because I think that's important for me at least. Is that if I have kids, I'd want to be able to focus on them and prioritize, but I wouldn't want to just give up a work life, because that to some extent is exciting. And, yeah.
Okay. As I hear the responses from the Nature students of what they plan to do with their futures, I see some parallels yet differences with how the people of 1950s viewed their futures. One could argue that the woman of 1950s and the young woman that attend Nature High School are similar because they both believe that they should take on a family and focus on that. But we need to consider the fact that although they said they should believe it's important to focus on their children, they also said that they wanted to have a career first. The woman of the 1950s just immediately jumped to the conclusion that they would take on the role of a housewife. They didn't even consider the idea of having a job. In conclusion, I believe that the responses received from the female Nature students is evidence towards the progress we have made from the 1950s. Even if the female students of Nature did say that they felt at some point in time it was important to focus on housework and children, they did say that they wanted a career prior. This tells me that there is no longer the isolated thought for women that their only career should be a housewife. Not only did the female students at Nature provide evidence that we have made progress from the stereotype of a housewife, but also the boys provided evidence too by saying they wouldn't make their wives work, but if they wanted to work, they were okay with that. Although the United States has made a lot of progress with gender stereotypes in relation to the past, there are still some restrictions that we need to work on, like limiting the restrictions that being married or having a family has on a woman's career. Because these interviews and responses have given us evidence of the progress that we've made in the past 60-something years, I'm only excited to see what happens in the future in relation to gender equality.